Hello and welcome back everybody. Today we're going to do AI limit, which came out on March 27 for the proposed minimum requirement, which is the i5-8400 or the Ryzen 5 1600 12GB of RAM, GTX 1060 6GB variant, or the AMD Radeon RX 580 8GB variant. Can play on DirectX 11, so you can go low in GPU if you have older one. HDD supported and SSD recommended. No target resolution, so we're going to play at 1080p. No target FPS, so it's going to be 30 FPS because this is a solo player game, and we're going to be at the lowest settings without any upscaling. Welcome to Response PC, I'm Dunk, let's game on. Starting off with the Intel CPU i5-8400 with the NVIDIA GTX 1060 6GB variant and 16GB of RAM, 1080p, lowest settings, no upscaling. We're still quite early in game, but so far we have an average of 63 FPS. We are way over 30 FPS to make this game playable. Unless they were targeting 60 FPS, then this is a win. The GPU is pegged at 100%, but only using 3.5GB of VRAM. So maybe the GTX 1060 3GB variant probably enough. The CPU, we are in the mid 40s to low 50s percentage of utilization, so we don't seem to have any CPU bottleneck. And for the RAM, we're using 8.3GB of RAM out of 16. Even though the minimum is 12, it makes sense. We're just over 8GB, so 8 won't be enough and will bottleneck the entire system. So keep at 12 if you can make that number out of DDR4, or 16 for the better result, I guess. At least easier to find a combination of 2-8 than 1-8-1-4 or 3-4 or 4-3 if it's that possible. Anyway, the game is highly playable at lowest settings, well over 60 FPS. Keep in mind we're still at the beginning of the game. Next up we have the AMD Ryzen 5 1600 paired with the RX 580 8GB variant, still with 16GB of RAM because 12 doesn't make sense. We are at 1080p, lowest settings and no upscaling, and we get an average of 71 FPS. This is again highly playable, even more playable than the GTX 1060. The GPU is pegged at 100% using 4.2GB of VRAM out of 8, so probably the 4GB variant of the RX 580 will do the job. Not probably, will definitely. The CPU usage is even lower than the i5-8400. We are in the low 30s to mid 30s of percentage utilization, and for the RAM we're using 7.9GB of RAM out of 16. This is again highly playable. Frame time, frame graph is perfectly smooth, so again with this hardware is highly playable. We don't know what were their targets, but we clearly see that it's highly playable. At 1080p, low settings, over 60 FPS, probably that was their target. But I find that most games that came out which have any Anaheim graphical have quite a low minimum requirement to play the game. And since this game is playable on DX11, that means we can go way lower in the GPU area, both on NVIDIA and AMD. Same go for the CPU. Our usage was quite low for this old gen CPU. I mean, we were on the first gen of AMD and the 8th gen of Intel, and we were using not even 50% of utilization of the CPU capability. Same go for the GPU. The 6GB and 8GB of VRAM, when we not even using 3 or 4GB of VRAM, I mean the GPU VRAM can be even lower. 4GB, maybe even 2GB. This game can probably play on a potato PC. Anyway, thanks for watching, see you on the next one, and subscribe.